Almonte's Key Food, proudly serving communities throughout Brooklyn, Queens, and Long Island for over 30 years. When you shop Key Food, you'll always find fresh products, great weekly specials, and exceptional personalized service. Visit at any of their Key Food stores at 8235 153rd Avenue, Lindenwood, New York, 935 Rosedale Road, Valley Stream, New York, and 6620 Avenue U, Brooklyn, New York.
This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
The Larry Kudlow Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And we're going to do some money in politics today. We're going to go three ways. We went long on Iran with Robert O'Brien. So ace pollster and friend John McLaughlin has agreed to stick around and join us, CEO of McLaughlin and Associates. And we have the great Liz Peek, Fox News contributor, as always. And we have the equally great Steve Moore, who was WABC radio host of More Money, coming up right after this show on most of these same radio stations. I appreciate everybody's patience. Sometimes, in this game, you have to move things around. I want to start with John McLaughlin. And I guess the question I have, will voters in California be fed up with one-party, rule, one-party socialist rule, with all the problems that we always talk about, the economic problems, the tax problems, the energy problems, fire problems, the homeless problems, the drug problems? My God, a once great state, a fabulous place that is no longer fabulous. You've got Spencer Pratt running for mayor, and you got Steve Hilton running for governor. I don't know what the final totals are. Maybe the Democrats are stealing the numbers, but those guys are going to be on the ballot for governor and mayor. John, in brief, lead us off. Is there going to be a revolt against one-party rule?
Well, there is right now, because when we did the poll for the California Post the Thursday before the Tuesday primary, the majority of voters in the primary said well over 50% said California's on the wrong track. 50% disapprove of Gavin Newsom, but they were split whether they were going to go for and we had Steve Hilton ahead and Steyer or Becerra. And in L.A. it was worse. You had 2/3 of the voters said the city's on the wrong track. They disapprove of Karen Bass. And that's a city with only 17% Republicans. Now, the bad thing is someone like the RNC needs to audit these late votes to make sure there's real human beings coming in, because they're still taking in ballots. And they stop counting on election night, and all of a sudden there's, hundreds of thousands of ballots showing up where tens of thousands in a batch are voting for Democrats and no Republicans. So there is active ballot harvesting going on. We just need to make sure there's real voters on the other end of that. So it could be, I mean, it's the fact that Becerra is now in first and Pratt's now in first and they haven't declared her second. It looks like the system where they tried to prevent Republicans from making the November ballots may work for them because of this ballot harvesting.
You really,
technique.
Both of those guys, Pratt, Spencer Pratt, and Steve Hilton could be taken off the ballot?
They have not advanced yet.
Oh, my God.
So in the L.A. mayor's race, it's 35 for Bass with 71% and 28 Pratt, 25 Rahman. She's coming up. And in the governor's race, it's the same things going on with Steyer's coming up on Hilton.
Liz Peek, we need Save America Act. Somebody's got to fix this broken election system.
Well, I think it's just horrifying. I'm interested, John, when you did your polling, could you identify what issues in particular people were so irate about? Is it the economy? Is it crime? What are the issues that Hilton and Pratt have gotten traction on?
Well, statewide, it was cost of living and housing costs. But also you had in L.A., it was they were saying mental illness, homelessness was the top issue, followed by housing. But the mental illness and homelessness is more security issues. It's like a crime issue because they've got people in the neighborhoods that are drug addicts and dangerous.
Yeah. So, Larry, going back to the SAVE Act, I think you and I have talked for months about how Republicans should ditch the SAVE Act and just do voter ID. That's it. Make Democrats vote against voter ID, which is approved of by over 80% of Americans. Once again, SAVE Act has gone down in flames. They need to get something done on election security, and time is running out.
I got it. I am going to have you realize all your dreams. Listen to this.
Good.
Representative Julie Fedorchak. I don't know her. She's from North Dakota. She has submitted a bill called Save America Through Real ID Act. Okay, it'll establish, listen to this, a grants encouraging states to require federally mandated real IDs to vote. That would be an alternative.
So it can be put in a reconciliation bill because it's funding.
Yes, this is what I have been talking about this for weeks. All right, and it'll be an alternative to the proof of citizenship and voter ID mandates in the original Save America Act, but it refers to federal verification standards for state-issued photo identification that ensure the holder is a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident. That's all it does. And it allocates $50 million each year from 2027 through 2031. She's coming on the TV show Monday to talk about it. So it's a fiscal measure, grants, $50 million a year. All right, that'll meet the Byrd rule, and you can use that as a backdoor way. It won't have all the citizenship, paraphernalia requirements. It's just a photo ID and a grant to insure it. Okay, she's from Julie.
Excellent.
Julie Fedorchak, North Dakota. Right, you have to love that. North Dakota. What do they got? Fewer.
There's no voter fraud at all.
There's fewer people than 3 apartment buildings. But you know what I mean. But anyway, that could be the answer to our dreams. Honestly. Now,
agree.
Steve Moore. You would hope, though, with all this, the Republicans would get a decent reconciliation bill. And, Steve, while I'm at it, you would hope that Republicans, somebody other than President Trump, would talk about the good economy, which is creating jobs, business is terrific, wages are high, etc. Kellyanne Conway was on the TV yesterday, and she said the jobs report and things like it should be the GOP's biggest weapon. But, Steve, they're not talking about this. They're not talking about anything. They're too busy quarreling with each other and quarreling with Trump over stuff that doesn't matter.
Well, first of all, Larry, do not make fun of Julie Fedora. She's going to be a senator someday.
Oh, you know it. I didn't know her. I never heard of her.
No, she's great. North Dakota only, I think, has one congressional member. So anyway, but look, I think one other thing. If can you imagine if the election for governor came down to Becerra versus Tom Steyer? I mean, talk about a Sophie's choice.
Right.
I guess I'd have to go with Fedora. I mean, I'd have to probably go with Becerra over that on that one. But that would be a tragedy, by the way, if the voters in November in California don't have a real choice. Economy, you and I have talked about that. I mean, it is unbelievably durable, resilient. It's hot right now, and my line is that the American economy is hotter right now than the New York Knicks. So
no, nobody is hotter than the New York Knicks. Sorry, Steve.
I knew you were going to say that, Liz. But that was a hell of a game last night, by the way. No, look, there's nothing to complain about. We got manufacturing, we got construction, we got investments. I mean, there's the things you talk about every night on the show. We got jobs, we got higher wages. I mean, the Democrats are really running out of things to complain about. And I think you're going to start to see a real shift in public opinion, too, in the next, well, John's the expert on this, but I think people are going to start to be looking at the economy in a much more favorable way.
John, talk about that because, look, Republicans' bread and butter is always the economy. When they talk tax cuts and economic growth and jobs, they win. But, when they talk about denying ballroom funds for Donald Trump or Justice Department defense funds, they lose. And right now, that's where they are, at least in the Senate. House, maybe less so. But I didn't see anybody. One last point. I was looking around, scanning the media outlets that we try to follow. And I was looking for Republican leaders other than the president. President came right out and touted the jobs. But other than the president, I can't find a Republican leader of impact or significance touting the report and the fact that the economy is growing at 3% plus. And as Steve said, it's manufacturing, it's construction, it's data centers, it's across the board, and wages are doing very well. Where are they, John?
They're missing in action, and Donald Trump, in our last monthly poll of 1,000 likely voters, had a 48 job approval, 47 disapprove. What was distressing was the generic ballot for Congress was only 42% Republican and 46% Democrat. So there's a gap between the Trump voters and the Republicans. And Larry, remember last month I asked a question that what do they prefer, to get the economy moving again? A small reconciliation bill that only passes spending bills, 26% of all voters. A pro-growth reconciliation bill that cuts waste, fraud, and corruption would provide proof of citizenship and voter ID and expands middle-class tax cuts. All voters, 57%. And it wins with independents, 53-28, moderates, 53-29. I mean, why aren't they doing this? They're killing themselves. And Trump's not on the ballot.
John, send me those poll results. I'll put those in the hotline on Monday. Those are amazing.
Steve, but Steve Moore, you can put in an outline, which is wonderful, but Steve Moore, why aren't every night I talk about a big fat pro-growth reconciliation? You talk about it. Forbes talks about it. Laffer, everyone. Yeah. But they're not doing it. Why?
I don't have a good answer, Larry. I mean, every time I go to the Hill and talk, I mean, the one guy who's really talking about this is Ted Cruz.
Yes.
But the rest are pretty mum on this. And I agree. Look, even if you can't pass it, put these issues on, like indexing capital gains.
Yes.
I don't know if you've asked voters on that one, John, but this is a fairness issue and a growth issue. And make the Democrats, make the case to people why you should be, when you sell your home and half of the gain is due to inflation, why you have to pay a tax on that?
Right. Right, and you realize the average voter has a $16,000 credit card balance, and they're paying or $6,000 credit card balance, 16% interest. Interest rates got to come down too. So it's just the average person isn't feeling that the Republicans are doing anything for them.
Yeah, and by the way, yesterday the RLSC or RCL, whatever it is, the Republican fundraising group, senatorial fundraising group, sent out a thing saying, we're doing all this for working families and, creating a booming economy. How? What have they done? I mean, I really almost threw my phone across the room. I was so angry about it.
They're cutting back on the Justice Department Defense Fund.
I mean, honestly,
they're stopping Trump's ballroom. How interesting. Deal. Right. I mean, how stupid. I mean, it's a circular firing squad in the Senate right now. That's what's happening.
Dead weight.
All right, let's take a break on that. All right. John McLaughlin, Ace Pollster, Liz Peek, Fox News contributor, Steve Moore, Unleash Prosperity. Steve's More Money Show on radio coming up after this show. I'm Kudlow. Be right back.
The biggest stage in world soccer is days away, and every goal changes everything. And now FanDuel's giving you a reason to root for every single one. Introducing Every Goal Pays. Bet on a match and get bonus bets for every goal scored in that match. Oh, that's right. More goals means more bonus bets, and all you have to do is turn on your token. Visit FanDuel.com and get started now. Let there be goals on FanDuel.
21 plus select states for Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino. 18 plus DCKYWY. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-MY-RESET. 888-789-7777. Visit ccpg.org/chat. Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org. Maryland. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org. Call 800-327-5050. Massachusetts. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY. Text HOPE-NY in New York. Call 877-770-7867. Louisiana.
Visit FanDuel.com. Get started now. Let there be goals this summer on FanDuel.
Talking money and politics. We got Steve Moore, whose radio show More Money pops up right after this one on most of these same radio stations. We got the great Liz Peek, Fox News contributor, and ace pollster John McLaughlin. Steve Moore, question. We're talking about reconciliation, these fiscal packages. So you have J.D. Vance, I think, doing a very good job on the whole fraud issue. Fraud, stealing, corruption. Emmett Oz is doing a great job. Now, my question quickly is, how can we incorporate the savings? In other words, are we going to cut back on the grants and the money? How is that going to show up? Let's say in a fiscal bill, and really bring down government spending as well as corruption.
Well, that's a great point you're making because, we know there's $500 billion to $1 trillion you could save by just getting rid of the corruption. So why not use that as an offset to, quote, pay for, unquote, the, capital gains reduction, maybe Laffer's talking about maybe, reduction in payroll tax or something like that. I love that idea. And you combine two good ideas because people hate fraud and they love tax cuts and aim it at the middle class and aim it at investment. It would be a very positive thing. I want to go back to one thing when you were talking to John McLaughlin about California. Something very important that we covered in the hotline happened on Tuesday, which there were 5 tax initiatives that were put on the ballot across the state, from north to south, from San Francisco down to San Diego, some of the most liberal areas of the state, and every one of them went down in flames. Americans do not want tax increases next. If Californians don't want tax increases, I guarantee you the rest of the country does. So that was a big, big thing. And by the way, 65% of the voters were Democrats. Even Democrats don't want higher taxes.
Well, are these guys... Steve Hilton and Spencer Pratt. I know Steve Hilton very well. I don't know Pratt, but are they talking about taxes, for example? I mean, it seems to me that'd be a very interesting topic for them.
John may know the answer to that. I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
I've seen it. They're talking about change in the election, particularly Steve Hilton, and the taxes are part of it, a component of it that they're too high, and they gotta change it and cut it.
What about Prop 13 type stuff? Reagan's Prop 13.
Yes.
Well, no one will repeal that. Remember when Warren Buffett tried that with Arnold when Arnold was running in the recall?
But I'm just saying, I get that. But
another Prop 13.
That's right. What I'm saying is, to Steve's point, if you hate taxes, then let's figure out let's bundle it into a tax cut of some kind, or at least a tax limitation, just to make the point.
That would they should. It's like. But it's like they haven't done it yet, so it's like they got to worry about just making the runoffs because the system is rigged. So it's like it's really bad.
Liz Peek, I appeal to you. You're in better judgment. No one on this panel seems to want to cut spending. All right, no one wants to really dig in. I want to reduce all of the federal money going to these Medicaid programs and Obamacare programs and other assorted welfare programs because Democrats are stealing it from taxpayers. So I appeal to your senses, Liz Peek, your financial restraint senses. We must cut spending.
Yeah, and that's for sure. And there's very little appetite for doing that. But certainly when the federal government employee count is down by hundreds of thousands.
Yes.
When you're beginning to eliminate fraud, when you demand that people on some of these welfare programs like Medicaid actually have to go to work, and there's workfare involved. So, I mean, hopefully that does begin to at least bend the arc of the upward trajectory of these programs, Larry, because it is going to bankrupt our country. They have got to change, and Democrats won't hear about it. So, once again, I mean, I hate to bang a drum on this because I'm very enthusiastic about Republican reign, but they just haven't got much to show for it right now.
Emmett Oz said, he's on Fox, 35% of the Obamacare enrollees are not legitimate. 35%. I don't know how much money we're spending. How much money we spend on Obamacare? I don't even know. $1 trillion. Right. See, so Emmett Oz is really an interesting character here. He's doing the Lord's work. And they even gave him the press room the other day, which was just fascinating. Yeah. And when they asked him questions out of his channel, he says, out of my lane, which is very good. That means he's learning how to play the game. But my point is, listen, put it on the line. These people are stealing money. These local people in L.A., and they're stealing taxpayer money. So the GOP, in addition to cutting taxes and growing the economy, should get on that horse.
Absolutely.
Do you know what the fraud rate is? Well, I did some analysis a couple of years ago when I called the credit card companies, insurance companies, so on. You know what the fraud rate is in the private sector on programs like this? 2 to 3%. And you're talking about 30% at the federal level.
Right. You got.
By the way, these companies said, look, if we had 4 or 5% fraud rates, we'd be out of business. And the government has 25% fraud rates. I mean,
80% of the people in these L.A. hospices come out healthier than they went in. There's something wrong with it. I mean, I'm glad they're living, but that's not the point of it. John McLaughlin, thank you for your patience. Liz Peek, your contribution. Steve Moore, as always, Steve's radio show's coming up. I'm Kudlow. We'll talk to you next weekend.
Thanks for listening to The Larry Kudlow Show. You can hear The Larry Kudlow Show Saturday mornings at 10. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
Listen to this podcast now
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Why is the middle class shrinking? Why are people facing an affordability crisis while marginalized individuals called informals grow in numbers? Join me as I travel the world, speaking with people living in invisibility, the leaders working to solve it, and uncovering the hard truths shaping our economy and daily reality.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.